It is a day 19 of me decluttering my house every single day until I feel less overwhelmed. Now, excuse the extra mess up on the sofa. I am running the robot vacuum cleaner around. This has been a lifesaver for us. We got this 4 years ago when we had our house renovated and we had tons of dust, little kids at the time, and it was really overwhelming. So, I highly recommend getting one of those. I want to tackle this area in particular, which I'm showing you on top of the Kallax, is really stressing me out. I have tackled toys, I think twice now in this particular area during the 20 days of this decluttering. I want to tackle these drawers as well. I can't fit all of their colouring supplies in these drawers, and so I want to go through them and just tidy them up, get everything back in order. And yeah, I just want like visibly now this area to be better. Things are not usually up on this sofa. I'm going to use this blue bag, and basically my strategy today is going to be to actually just remove some things into the loft as a kind of like time will tell bag of toys or put it up into. I'm sure I've got some empty plastic boxes having decluttered various different things up in the loft. I'm going to start with a kind of an easier option of going through these two top drawers. In these drawers, I basically separated them out before so that the top drawer should have more of their like school supplies or like learning supplies, the handwriting books, the math stuff, their notepads for doing their handwriting practice, the pens and pencils for that sort of thing, and the rulers. So I've got some like pads here, which are like plain notepaper, which are more for just general like colouring and drawing, and I want to put those in the bottom drawer here, or the second drawer rather, where I have more of their colouring books and the colouring pens and the kind of like art supplies. So the kids don't know really which drawer is which. So they just open both of them and grab whatever they want. I also bought some new drawing pads recently, these large ones which are on top. What I'm doing now is I'm just going to write their names at the very top of them so that we can easily see like whose is whose without having to flick through and decipher like who's coloured in what. So that is what I'm doing just to make life a little bit easier. I picked these up in Poundland for like 80p each, and they're actually really good. The kids are loving drawing and handwriting and all things crafty at the moment, which I am loving because I am very much a creative, crafty person. And it has taken us quite a long time to get to this point where the kids are really loving it. And I think because my middle child started school this September and he's doing more of that at school and he's starting to learn to read and write and he wants to practice all of that at home. And then his 6-year-old big brother wants to help teach him. So it is really lovely. I'm loving this phase. So this was a bit of an unexpected declutter today, actually. I didn't know that I would have any time at all to declutter because we were intending on going as a family to Canterbury Cathedral. It's a bit of an annual pilgrimage from us, and my husband is originally from Canterbury. So we like to go there at Christmas time. The cathedral is extra, especially like lit up, and there's always like some crafty things happening inside for the kids. Last year they made like these beautiful paper angels for the tree. This year they have a carousel in the grounds of the cathedral. So we always like to go, take in the cathedral, go around the Christmas markets and just do some like Christmassy family stuff. My mother-in-law lives very close by, so my husband picked her up, took her along with our eldest and our youngest, and I stayed at home with middle child, who is really not feeling so great. He's running a bit of a temperature at the moment. He's in pretty good spirits, and he was eating and drinking well enough, not 100%, but obviously wasn't up for a big day out and not out in the cold. So we kept him at home, and he was just chilling upstairs, watching the iPad in bed, didn't want to come downstairs. So I was going up and down basically, thought I might as well utilize the time and do a bit of a declutter. I said in a previous video that I thought that was going to be the last time that I could tackle toys before Christmas and before the kids were off. So this felt like a bit, it was not a bonus because it's never nice to have kids ill. But I thought I might as well use the time because I hadn't expected to have it. And a lot of people had advice because I said, I struggle with toys. Toys is definitely the hardest category that I find to declutter because I just want the kids to have everything and yet acknowledge that they're better off with less stuff out. Like I know when they have less choices, they play better with things. Like I see it when I go to my mum's house, when I go to my mother-in-law's house, they both have a selection of toys for the kids and they play so lovely with them when they're there. without, well, not completely without the squabbling, but without a lot of the squabbling and messes that we see at home when they get like just everything out, where they have so much more choice. And like at my mum's house in particular, we have big boxes of Lego. I say they always play with the Lego at my mum's house and they play with it for ages. We have, as you see, I'm just putting Lego into a box here. We have a lot of Lego in our house, but it is buried underneath other things and they just don't play with it at home. And I'd love actually just to, a couple of boxes on top there so that they can choose something more easily and really dedicate time to it. We have been thinking about putting some of the Playmobil up here. You see that car, it goes with like a Playmobil stables. The stables is on top of the Lego. And they haven't played with that for a little while, but they do love it. And I think that is something which I do genuinely want to put into a rotation rather than getting rid of. And there are some other things I'm putting into this bag that I very much have in mind, that I probably won't be getting back out. So there's a general Playmobil in that box, and I might need to just take a look through it and check if we've got our space Playmobil in there because that is in one of the Kallax boxes, and I want to leave that in there. And then in this box actually that I'm going through now, we have Connects and Lego that hasn't been made up. So I think that would be really good. Maybe even for the following day when the boys are off school, especially if my middle child's still feeling a bit poorly, that's something perhaps we can just sort of do on the sofa on some trays, get some Lego out, sit and have some like chilled, crafting time or whatever. What do you call playing with Lego? It's not crafting, is it? What is it? Mechanics? I don't know. I can't think of the word. Um, but yeah, just going through again, checking on some things. There are some things that I have been thinking about, like I took Sean the sheep has been in a bag to go to the charity shop many times, and he's always been retrieved mostly by me because actually Sean the sheep is my teddy from when I was a child. And I was very much, I mean, probably an older child, probably a teen or tween when I got him. But he's been basically pulled back out of the charity shop bag many times and put back in the house. Kids don't actually want him. Obviously, I'm not playing with him anymore. And he's just sitting in a box here. And I keep trying to tell myself that it would be much nicer to pass him on to somebody else and let somebody else really love and enjoy him. So in this particular tub, we have like lightsabers and we have kind of like guns and that sort of thing. And actually, I feel like I could potentially put the guns and lightsabers into the unit which is under the television where I've put all of the swords and shields and stuff, like weaponry, basically, that feels like. And then we have these spaceships, which my sister got the kids last Christmas. They don't play with the masses. They go through phases with them. And I think either they'd be really good in a toy rotation potentially. So I'm just putting all the bullets with them so we don't lose them. And then off screen, I took out the batteries because that's, one thing. I think if you're going to put toys into a toy rotation, you're going to put them in the loft. What you don't want, and which I have done before, is to chuck them in there with the batteries in. Batteries then leak and the toy is ruined for everyone. So there, I took the batteries out, make sure I keep the toys safe in that bag. And then my intention is that I might even start to rotate some of those swords and things that are in the unit under the television and really get most use out of things. We also have a magic box or box of magic tricks up here, and that is something my 6-year-old plays with loads, but which gets like very jumbled up. So my aim is that I've got this one down here and all sorts that I'm just gathering things back up together as well. The swing, I do still get the swing out for my 2-year-old, particularly on a Thursday, my non-working day when she's at home. Like if it's nice and sunny, even if it's cold, I'll stick the swing out. That just goes onto the kind of, I can't even think of what it's called. We have a nice like kind of awning bit, not awning, can't think of the word for it anyway, just outside of the back doors where I am. And we've got some hooks on there that we just hook the swing up to really easily. So I do sort of like to have that closer to hand. And my intention is just to slide that back under these books, but just when everything's a bit tighter. At the moment, we have too much under there and it just visually like looks really cluttered. So putting all the various magic kit stuff back and then popping that on top there. But I don't think that's necessarily the ideal solution, but for now it will do. And just having a bit of a tidy up. One of these hats, and these hats are from our trip to Dublin in the summer, and one of them has been a bit battered and we've got bits of straw falling everywhere. The kids aren't generally wearing all of them at the same time. I'm sure we'll go back to Ireland and buy more hats. So just tidying up now that the Hoover has finished as well, getting things back down. And the Hoover can go over the rugs fine, but it generally misses bits of the floor just around the rugs, and that was quite messy around here. So I shook out the Hoover and shook out the rug, let the Hoover pick everything up. Can you tell I'm tired? And I've been up in the night with children and not going to bed late, basically getting all the Christmas stuff ready. I didn't go to bed until like 1 a.m. This morning because I was up setting up various Christmas toys. And then hopefully my 4-year-old will be much better in time for us to travel to family. On Christmas Eve afternoon, we're intending on traveling not far. We have an Airbnb booked close to husband's family, and I'm hoping that he'll be over this temperature by then. As otherwise, we might end up in a position where some of us are taking part in Christmas and some of us are chilling out in the Airbnb. So I need to get us stocked up on some more medicines today. And also just want to get my 4-year-old just checked over by the doctor today, make sure he doesn't need any antibiotics or anything like that. But as I said, he's pretty perky and he is eating and drinking. It's just this temperature that is niggling on. Now I have debated these balls a couple of times, but they didn't feel like the right thing to put in a toy rotation. But now I'm looking at them again. I might just sort of sense check with my husband, see what he thinks, and put a couple of them up into the loft. They aren't played with lots at the moment, and I think it's something we generally encourage the kids to play outside with, and the weather's not great. So I thought I'd spend a little bit of time having a tidy up in the toy kitchen because this is an area that I haven't tackled yet at all in any of the toy declutters. And hanging on at the edge of the toy kitchen is a couple of these bags where they have toys which they use more for car journeys. And it is quite handy to know like we have these toys accessible, easy to grab in a bag. In there we have the drawing pads, like reusable drawing pads, so they don't have to take lots of pens and paper and drop things on the floor. And the pens for them are connected to the drawing pads. We have maths cubes, which they can use for counting and various maths games, but they can also like make little objects with. And we have their little pop-it games as well. And those are kind of the three toys that we typically take on a car journey, such as the one we'll do on a Christmas Eve going to Sussex, because that's a kind of probably be a couple of hours drive. It might be quite busy this time of year. And we don't generally do iPads in cars, and we generally try to stick to things which take their attention for a little bit of time, not too much. I also do though, not to be like they don't watch television in the car. We do always have a phone in backup that will let them have to watch a bit of TV after a time if they really start to bicker with each other. And that is the thing that I find the hardest on a longer car journey with the kids is that they will start to go to war with each other. And where we have three all in car seats in that back seat, they are kind of quite close to each other. I often think it would be quite nice to have like a proper minibus or something where we could separate them a bit and they have space in between them. But that is not on the radar. We actually do have a 7-seater car, like we can put seats up in the boot, but they are not as big and I just don't feel like they are as safe. Like you can have a booster base seat, but you can't have the like high back booster seats that we have the kids in, which are obviously safer. So we don't use them. Basically, we have the bigger 7-seater car so that we can have more stuff in the boot. In moving the toy kitchen, I somehow managed to dislodge the top of it and take out the microwave front and have to fix all of that. Which, they have some of those jobs that you start and then you think, why am I doing this? I'm just making it worse. Felt like a little bit like that with this. I didn't actually remove that much from the toy kitchen, but there had been one toy in particular which has been not been used, and in the process of not being used, has actually just become so battered and that I don't think I could even put it in the charity shop. And that is often the shame with things where I think about moving them out of the house, gifting them on, but then change my mind. And then in the time that then passes, the thing becomes broken or damaged in some way so that I can't pass it on. And this has happened to me a couple of times with things that I have like stored in cupboards or in the loft. And then it's become like damp or moldy where we do have condensation issues with the house. And then it's been no good for anyone. And I had this happen with a big like suitcase before, and I chucked it into the back of a cupboard and it all got moldy on the back of it. So since then, actually, we had gradually gone through a process of having like less in cupboards and trying to have a bit of a clear out, but we've definitely got massively overwhelmed in the last couple of years. And really, like looking back, it is, bring another baby into the house. You get swept up in those newborn days. Like the first year or two of a new child is so intense. Like they need so much attention, obviously. And still, our 2 year old, she's only just turned 2 in October, she still needs loads of our attention and time. And, it's still very much, the case that we are short on time with work and kids, but we are able, and I have been able to carve out these pockets of time. And I've been really surprised actually that we're, nearly at 20 days in a row of decluttering and have managed to get so much done. And it just goes to show that when you prioritize something in life, and this felt like it had to be a priority in order to make life easier for all of us. We definitely have quite a way to go still. I think it might even take another couple of months of gradual decluttering of the house before I get to the point that I really feel like every room, works well. And there are some rooms in the house, like the utility room, that I haven't touched at all. And my plan for the utility room is actually, I think I'm going to start with the shed. So I'm going to tackle that in between, I think, Christmas and New Year, hopefully. I want to clear space in our shed because we don't have a lot of space. Like, we don't have a garage at all. We only have a small shed, so the loft is one of the few areas that we can use to store things on a more long-term basis. And what I want to do is get to the point where I can better store all of the shoes and hats and gloves and everything, get rid of the box that we have basket on the stairs filled with our hats and gloves. I want to utilize the space that we have by our front door, in our hallway, under the stairs, in the utility better. And at the moment, I've got quite a lot of DIY stuff in both those locations, like particularly under the stairs and in the utility room. And I don't need all of it on a regular basis. Like, absolutely do need some tools to hand for things that might, occur and go wrong and be needed in the house. But I don't need as much as I have. Like, if I'm going to do any decorating and painting, that is something I plan much more in advance. And I feel like all of the decorating stuff could go into the shed, all of the paintbrushes and paints, etc., and the fillers I have. So here is anyway what we managed to carve out. The blue bag, everything in the blue bag is going to go into the loft. I just need to have a little sort through one of the Playmobil boxes, check I don't need to put anything else back in the drawer that has the space stuff, and then everything else is actually going to go, is either rubbish or it's going to go to the charity shop, a few bits of the charity shop, and a lot of other like broken bits. So in that yellow tub there, I'm going to just go through, make sure there isn't any of the space Playmobil that needs to go back into that Kallax box. But pretty pleased there. And I mean, I don't think it necessarily, as you first go in, like the coffee table, I didn't really touch that. Could do with a tidy up, but I've already been through that stuff. But at the back here, I am so pleased with this. It's finally at a point now when I look at it, it doesn't massively stress me out. Whereas the top of that Kallax unit in particular, I was finding really stressful. Now, I do want to do something with the fancy dress stuff, which is on the left-hand side. The kids love the fancy dress stuff. And I want to get a closed-in box of the fancy dress stuff so that that isn't so visible. I think that the toy kitchen area is looking way better. I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys. Thanks for watching.